going on, guys? Liam here, and today we're talking state of origin selections. Who should be the Queensland fullback? Now, I don't normally like doing these videos. I just like seeing who the team gets picked and then doing matchups and think who's going to win the game and stuff like that. But this one, I've got a bit of opinion on, and I don't think it's what everyone's talking about. It's a little bit left field to why I would select this certain player. So, I'd love to hear what you guys think of who I select when I eventually reveal who I would pick out of the three possible candidates. And also, just drop it. Who do you think should be the Queensland fullback? Now, I am pretty unbiased when it comes to state of origin. I am from New South Wales, but I live in Queensland and love Queensland. And I'm not actually the hugest state of origin fan. I'm actually one of the weird people that likes the international game better. I'd rather watch Australia versus New Zealand or Samoa versus Tonga than the state of origin, but I still love it. But I'm just trying to get the point across. I'm not being biased. I just have it's pretty hard to be completely unbiased, but I'm pretty unbiased when it comes to state of origin and stuff like that. So, obviously, the three people that could possibly get selected would be Kalen Ponga, who has been the fullback for Queensland. We have Reece Walsh and the Hammer, all in sick form. Normally it's New South Wales with 3 or 4 amazing fullbacks that could do the job, and I guess they still do have that. But Queensland this year with a ton of depth and across the board, it's actually pretty damn crazy. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Kalen Ponga is the current fullback, but we all know the dramas he's had. He's been an absolute turnstile in defence, playing in the front line. He's been getting KO'd. Since the last state of origin, what's he had? About 6, grade 1 concussions, and he's barely played any footy, literally. He missed the whole back end of last year, and he's missed a massive chunk of this year. And concussions aside, I just don't think he's played enough footy to now jump into state of origin. Just my personal opinion. He's electric in offense and all that sort of stuff, but so's Reece, so's Hammer, and I just think he's a massive liability there. I mean, state of origin's way more physical than the other game, the regular game, and I just don't know if I'd be risking Kalen Ponga at fullback. So I'm going to run the red line through him straight away. So for argument's sake, guys, let's just pretend that it is between Reece Walsh and Hammer. So just talking about form and stuff like this. Now, Hammer does have one little advantage. I guess say he's been there before, came off the bench, and he's just been... I just want to give Hammer a rap. I actually said he's a big loss for the Cowboys when he left. I had no idea how good he was going to be so quickly. I remember in his second game, I believe they were playing Canberra, I could not believe how good his positional play is for a first time. Essentially a rookie fullback. I was like, Billy Slater out there? Every time a ball went through the line, I was expecting, a good... he'd just scoop the ball up, and his positional play is brilliant. But where it comes down for me is, I guess you're going for X factor versus safety and a bigger body. And for me, man, these stats here just don't lie. I mean, look, you got Selwyn Cobbo and Reece Walsh leading the league in errors by a mile. Now, I want to point this kid out too. This kid here had a game where he literally had 5, maybe even 6 errors. He just had a stinker of a game. So let's say, for argument's sake, that game didn't happen. These guys are streaking ahead for errors and, handling errors as well. Both right up there. Reece Walsh is absolutely leading the pack by a mile. So I guess the way I'm thinking of it is, do you risk someone who in the last 2 years, Selwyn Cobbo and Reece Walsh's last 2 years have been in the top 3 for leading, handling errors and just leading errors sort of thing. So I guess where I now let's see how long, let's see how long we have to go down before we find Hammer. Still going. Oh yeah, he's not in the top 50. Now if we go down to actual errors, I'm sure he'll be on this list. But let's keep going. He's not in the top 30. He's not in the top 40. There he is, 45th. Much safer option. He's been there before as well. And to me, this is the problem. Queensland already have Harry Grant, Cam Munster, Valentine Holmes. They got so much X factor. Do you really need to risk a little bit of extra X factor for someone that is like, like Reece Walsh is more electric than Hammer, but you know what I mean? Do you need it? Do you need it? And I tell you what, sometimes you have to look at who would the other team want us to select. You get what I'm saying? So, like sometimes you can select who you think's, going to be the best player, and the other team's like, awesome, I'm glad he's playing instead of so-and-so sort of thing. So, just for argument's sake for a second. And I don't know if anyone watched Thursday night's game. Selwyn Cobbo's hands are awful as well. Like, he looked terrified under normal bombs. Like, he was really bad under normal bombs. So do you really want your back three to have two of the worst hands in the game? And you can get away with one. Like, you can risk one, but I don't know if you can risk two. Get what I'm saying? Like, Selwyn, okay, he's terrible under the high ball. He looks nervous under the high ball, but do you really want two guys with bad hands in your back three? Now, scenario for you guys. Matt Burton gets picked for New South Wales. He starts putting bombs coming down from the gods, and Reece Walsh and Selwyn Cobbo are standing under. Do you guys trust those two to take those bombs? I tell you now, if New South Wales pick these two and Matt Burton's in that team, it's going to be error city. Like, Selwyn, go back and watch Broncos last game. Selwyn, I think, he made like 2 errors in the game on Thursday, I believe, and I think Reece had 2 as well, which is roughly what they're averaging, 2 errors per game sort of thing. But in Origin, there's such a fine line for mistakes. Like, when you've got an elite team and you're playing a lower team, you can get away with it. Selwyn and Reece Walsh, they can knock on a few balls and they're just so good. Broncos are just so much better than the other team. They'll blow them away. But remember, State of Origin, it's razor thin. Even when Queensland dominated, I think they only won one series 3-0. There was tons of close games, a couple of blowouts, but tons of close games. The margin for error is so razor thin, and I just don't know if you'd risk this. Like, it is just scary. So I think New South Wales will be hoping Reece Walsh gets picked. They'll then pick Matt Burton, and it's going to be Bomb City. And and this is the other thing too. Cleary's bomb's probably the second. He's probably got the second best spiral bomb in the game. So even if they don't pick Matt Burton, you still got Latrell there that can put him up, and you still got Cleary there that can put him up. It's just, I know it's a Queensland. If I was a Queensland supporter and I had those two guys under those bombs, I'd be so worried. I'd be so worried. Whereas, Hammer, for me, his hands are he's brilliant. He's so good. He never looks like he's dropping one. Obviously, you drop him here and there, you can't help it. But, it's just too risky for me to pick Reece Walsh. Like, you saw the 2 errors he made on Thursday night were relatively unforced. One was he was picking the ball up at his bootstraps, but, you know what I mean? It was relatively unforced still. And, so that's me, guys. I'm going Hammer all day. He's been there before. The other thing I noticed too, I probably just reading into it a little bit much, but whether the big occasion would get to Reece Walsh, we saw him spewing up in the bin before Magic Round. Whereas Hammer's been there before, he knows what the feeling is and all that sort of stuff, so you guess you wouldn't have to worry about those nerves. But like I said, this is a huge call for Billy Slater, because whoever he does pick, he's going to probably be their fullback for a very, very long time. And let's say Reece doesn't get picked or Hammer doesn't get picked, they might not play Origin this decade. Like, that's how, Queensland have always been a pick and stick sort of team sort of thing. So, crazy times, guys. Let me know what you think. Is Hammer the right choice? Is Reece Walsh, or are you sticking with Kalen Ponga? Thank you all so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.